Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Spa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishvari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Dhurubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhaivacha Patita Nam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, I believe also text 25, correct? 24 and 25. So, I'll just do one line, and you repeat, okay? And then after that, everybody just chants one verse, and then we'll get through it more quickly. Purushodasham cha mukyam mam vidipatha brihaspatim senaninam aham skandaha sarasam asmi sagara maharishi brigo aham griram ashnamekam asharam yagyanam japa yagyosi stavaranam himalaya. So we'll miss the word to word out so that, we save time. So, text number 4, translation Srila Prabhupada. O priests, O Arjuna, of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water I am the ocean. Text number 25. Of the great sages I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things I am the Himalayas. So, please repeat. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water I am the ocean. Purport Srila Prabhupada. Indra is the chief demigod of the heavenly planets and is known as the king of the heavens. The planet on which he reigns is called Indraloka. Brihaspati is Indra's priest, and since Indra is the chief of all kings, Brihaspati is the chief of all priests. And as Indra is the chief of all kings, similarly Skanda or Kartikeya, the son of Parvati and Lord Shiva, is the chief of all military commanders. And of all bodies of waters, the ocean is the greatest. These representations of Krishna only give hints of his greatness. So, text number 25, of great sages I am Bhrigu, of vibrations you repeat please. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of the vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. It's interesting to note, right, that the correct pronunciation, often you hear Himalayas, right? But yeah, but now we can see in the Sanskrit there is Himalaya, Himalayas. It's interesting. So, purport Srila Prabhupada. Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several sons for the propagation of various kinds of species. Among these sons, Bhrigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibrations, Om represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and the purest. Whatever is sublime in the world is a representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas, the greatest mountains in the world, would represent him. The mountain named Meru, was mentioned in a previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable. Interesting. Whereas the Himalayas are never movable. Thus the Himalayas are greater than Meru. Interesting. Mukam karochi vachalam pangam larate girim yad kripatamaham bande Shri Guru dinatarinam. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy name Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. So I was, Parvati Mataji phoned me up an hour or so ago. So I was reading through this. And what's very interesting to note is that Krishna, he doesn't say of opulences, I am gold or I am silver. You know, in this material world, people think they have opulence if they have money. Not so. Here, Krishna sees his opulence invested and represented by people. So this is Vaishnavism. It's okay. This has been like this for about 10 years. You think that's the one? Fine, good. Because that will come in the mic. You're very kind. Thank you. So if this one's the short or this one's the short, not those two. Well thought. So this is Vaishnavism. Just like India. Is India run by laws or by people? People. No, I wasn't meaning anything by that. I'm not saying India is lawless, no. But what I mean to say is any country, they have laws, they're made by people, They're enforced by people, maintained, and they can be changed by people, right? So in the atheistic material view of the world, the creation, the scientists are fixed on understanding the laws, but not the lawmaker. This is a very interesting point. So in Vaishnavism, well, actually, in definition of the absolute truth, that can be put three ways. Acharyas have instructed us. That one is voidism. Everything has come from nothing. That theory, which is ridiculous, because nothing doesn't exist by definition, so it can't explode or it can't become a source of emanation. Because if you look in the dictionary, nothing is defined as the absence of anything. Sometimes people think nothing means a black space or something, or an empty sky, but that's something. That's not nothing. Nothing means it's not there in the first place to explode or become so that is a ridiculous idea, but that is at the root of modern science, is it not? But of course they changed their theories. Originally the idea was a big chunk, as Prabhupada calls it. There was a big chunk, and that exploded. But then some scientists came along and said it wasn't such a big chunk. It was like a small chunk. And that exploded. And then some people came along and they said, no, there was no chunk at all. And that exploded. Oh, nice and logical. And then now they're they figured out that that's illogical. So now they're saying things, there was a singularity. Right, you've heard that, right? So singularity is not nothing, it's something. So, and Prabhupada makes the point on one lecture I was listening to a couple of days ago. He says change means imperfection. He is saying the Bhagavad-Gita, we don't change the Bhagavad-Gita. It's the science of Krishna consciousness today in the same way it was 5,000 years ago. Prabhupada says change means imperfect. So therefore you have the scientific magazine Nature, they call it, but Prabhupada used to say, whose nature? Right, you have a nature, but it's you the person, your nature. So of course that's a monthly magazine because they have to change their theories every month. So they have to put in a new theory of creation. So it'll be two singularities next month, or maybe it'll be a male and female singularity a month after that. So they call this progress of knowledge. But actually, if you factually look at it, it's progress from one mistaken idea, a big chunk, to a little chunk, to no chunk, to a singularity. It's a progression from one idea that's being rejected after another. So it's not a progress of knowledge, it's a progress of ignorance. One mistaken idea to the next, right? Just like if you're wandering in a forest at night. So you may bump in, and it's pitch black, you may bump into a branch and you have a flash and you think you're enlightened. And then you walk on a bit further and you bump into a tree and you have a flash in your head. Oh, it's another enlightenment. So this is modern science. They're changing their theories, but they propagandize this as progress in knowledge, but it's progress from one mistaken idea to the next. Plus, they have this obsession that there are laws, physical laws, laws of physics, chemistry, but they will not admit, or they will avoid the point that there's a personal creator of those laws. Just like in India or Greenland or anywhere, There's laws, but they are created by people. So that is voidism. The last thing they want to admit is a personal creator, because that would mean I have an obligation to that creator. If I'm created by somebody, then I'm obliged to that person for my creation. But if you say it's impersonal laws that are just by chance there because of a singularity exploded or a chunk exploded, then you're making the absolute truth impersonal. And therefore you're free to do what you want. Right? So that is monism, voidism. But then there's monism. And Prabhupada says at least the voidists who don't believe there is a supreme person, they're honest. But Prabhupada in many places, Bhaktisiddhanta also, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he says that monism is also, they are worse because they're dishonest. They say there is a supreme that is the source, but he's impersonal. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a story of Lord Nityananda. He met some Buddhists in the forest, and he became furious, and he wanted to kick them on the head. And his attitude was, "You are denying the form of my beloved Lord." So monism is actually offensive. And they are saying there is a supreme, but they're saying the supreme is just energy. So again, I have energy, you have energy, we all have energy, but it's under our personal control. Just like India has energy, has land, but it's under the control of the people. So that's personalism, that's Vaishnavism. We say, yes, there are laws of the universe, but they're under the control of a person. But they want to analyze the creation and the opulences of the creation in terms of only the law. And so in the scientific world, whether it's physics, chemistry, biology, it's always the mathematical formula. Have you noticed? It's all about formulas. The components of the formula may be different, light, energy, whatever, but it's all a mechanical analysis. It's all a calculation. There's no mysticism. They say that, consciousness and the subtle things, they are created by the gross. Whereas we understand from the Bhagavatam that the subtle creates the gross. And the most subtle is consciousness. So that is all there you can study that. We discussed it at the end of last week's class. You can study that in the teachings of Kapil Dev to his Devahuti in 3rd canto. It's very interesting. Subtle to gross. Just like our mental body is more subtle than our gross body. So the doctors will tell you that if you're neurotic or full of tension, that can manifest on the gross plane. So similarly, if you are thinking in a healthy way and positive way, that will give you good health on the gross plane. Converse there. So that is a basic mistake, to think that the gross creates the subtle. That's also a mistake. And to think that mathematics is the tool by which we analyze the creation. You see, there's a presumption there that through mathematics we will be able to understand everything. The mathematics of physics, the mathematics of chemistry, the mathematics of biology, that mathematics is the ultimate tool, right? Because that's an impersonal thing. 1 and 1 makes 2. There's no emotion in there. It's just a monistic or voidistic calculation. So where are you, where from this idea that mathematics is the tool to understand? Please prove to me, dear scientist, we can ask them, how mathematics will reveal everything. Why are you presuming? Because, I've given the example before, just like my bank account, very sad and sorry affair, but it's calculated according to mathematics. Input, credits, output, interest. And also, in my bank account it may say, bought a ticket from this travel agent and so on and so forth, and sent money to Amazon to buy some speakers or something like this. So my bank account, it is a part of my life, and it is related to my life. And the mathematics of the bank account, they are running very impersonally. But does the bank account explain why I went to a country? What I thought on the aeroplane? What my emotions were when I got off the aeroplane? And why I bought those kind of speakers and not another thing. So you're getting into a realm beyond mathematics. So therefore, this atheistic science, which just bows its head towards the mathematical formula, it's not practical in life. You can't just say, I know this person's bank account and the movements within it, and therefore I know this person. Now you can say, I know a little about this person, right? But are you getting the full picture? Of course not. So therefore, we can apply that to understand how the scientific approach to life in terms of impersonal calculation, it gives us a certain aspect of reality, but it doesn't give us the full picture. And therefore there's always been the contention between science and the mystics and so on. And the mystics, that is explained in the Gita, right? Yanti deva vrata devan, right? Those that worship the demigods, they go to the demigods. Those that worship the forefathers go to the forefathers. Those that worship the ghost and spirit, tamagun, that is goodness, passion and ignorance. And those that worship me, transcendence, go to me. So there's no mathematical formula in there. It's a response from the deity, the controller. Just like people may worship, say, Lakshmi Devi for Lakshmi. They're worshipping the person for the energy. So in a mystical approach to life, you recognize that there are personalities in charge. Therefore, in the Vedas, it is explained that there are 33 million devatas. So they are in charge of the different laws, if you like, of the universe. And if you worship them, you can get something. You might worship Dhanvantari for good health. Of course, that's the Supreme Lord. Or you might worship Kartikeya for victory in battle, as we just read. You might worship Bhrigu for knowledge or something like this to get some benediction. So you're worshipping a person and then you're getting the energy. So that is the correct. Just like in India, people might hear this because we've been conditioned by this impersonal atheistic view of the creation. People might think, 33 million demigods? How is that possible? But just consider, India is quite a big country, right? Over 1 billion people. Now, how many civil servants are there in India? Right? Maybe 1 million, maybe more. I'm talking about,
More than
Yeah, more than 1 million, because we're not talking, when we say 33 million devatas, we're not just talking about, Shiva, of course he's Shiva Tattva, or the Kartikeya, or so many, Indra. We're talking about and we're talking about nature spirits and deities that are in charge of different regions and so on. And Vayu is in charge of air, and Agni is in charge of fire. But then they have subdivisions of this. Just like you're saying, to run India, it's useless having a law if nobody's going to enforce it. And maybe there is 5 million civil servants just for India. So if you think the gigantic universe, 33 million devatas is a very small quantity to run this universe. You look at the stars in the sky, how many do you see at night? So this is personalism. And therefore Krishna in the Gita here, when he's talking about his opulence, he's not talking about gold or silver or earth or land like we might think, or the materialist will think. Oh, my idea of opulence is things, not people. Things like money and wealth and land. This is opulence. But Krishna is thinking the opulence is, like we just read in today's verses, they are the people. And that is throughout Adityas, I am Vishnu, I am the son of Maruts, I am Marichi, of stars I am the moon, of the Vedas I am Samaveda, demigods I am Indra. So Krishna is stressing the personal aspect of opulence. Because actually, it takes a person to recognize opulence, right? I mean, there might be 100 tons of gold, but it's just sitting there. But if a person can claim that gold as his, then he's opulent. You see, the person is the topmost aspect. So in Vaishnavism, we have the correct view that yes, there are laws in the universe, and you calculate, and you can interpret the results of your laws, but you have to understand that those laws are working according to persons, and those persons, by controlling those laws and the area of power under those laws, are very opulent. So therefore, if you want, just like in India, if I want some favor, I can go to the chief minister, right? And he's very powerful, right? He's not the ultimate power. That you can say is the president or the prime minister, but he has power. So the worship of devatas means that you're going to the government minister, but not the top man. So in the Bhagavatam it says, akama savakama muksha kama udharyade trivrena bhakti-yogena yajate parasham param. That whether you have all material desires or no material desires, or you want liberation from the material world, then the only intelligent thing is to worship the supreme person, and that is Krishna, you see. Because I might get a favor by going to the Ministry of Finance. He may help my business or give me a good contract. But if I go to the President of India, I can get the best favor, because he's in the most powerful. And his favor can include everything available from India. So that verse is there, that if you want some material opulence, then it's Ritagyan, Krishna says. If you worship the demigods, then your intelligence has been stolen by illusion. Because you're going to the small man. It's better to go to the big man. And that's Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. And that's in the 10th canto. This is a bit earlier, yes, isn't it? There is that. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Everything has come from me. And then he gives the Chatusloki. And then Arjuna says, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala and Vyas confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it unto me. So Arjuna is reckoned, wow, this is not just Krishna my friend, this is the Supreme Lord. Pavitram paramam bhavan, purasham shasvatam divyam, param brahma, param dharma, adidevam majam bibum. Right? So Krishna, Arjuna is realized this is the top man. This is the Supreme Lord. So that is and there's no, throughout the Vedas, there's only Krishna declaring himself as the Supreme Lord. So that's where the mistake is, that of the Mayavadi or the Pancha Upashanas. They say that you just worship any demigod and they all represent the Brahman impersonal energy. They're all the Brahman interacting with the modes. And one is producing Surya, one is producing Agni. But we don't say that. No, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the source of everything. And in the material world, he has given different powerful positions to his devotees who want that. So that is the position of Krishna relative to the Devatas. Now what is Krishna's position relative to the Asuras? Well, so in India, you can get favor from the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Agriculture, so on. But you can also get favors from another position, right? You can go to, let's say, the mafia, a general term, right? And what do the mafia run in a country? Not necessarily India, but say in America. The mafia run what? Drugs, prostitution, human trafficking, gambling, intoxication, murder, and mayhem. So every country has their government and their supreme ruler, but then below that you have nefarious people, bad people, running the bad things. And there's an interchange between them, is there not? The police say, okay, you run your nightclub, but you can't be selling drugs in the nightclub or else we're going to close you down. Like that, there's a deal. And also, instead of going to, say, the Minister of Home Affairs, you can also go to the mafia and say, hey, look, I need a job, I need money. Okay, you can work in the nightclub, you see. So this is the understanding of the material world. You have the Supreme Lord, Paramatma. He's controlling everything, Sutri Mani Gana Iva. All the opulences that people have, they are bestowed by him, by the laws of karma. But the bad people, there's also bad people controlling the bad aspects of life. So Kali, at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, we find Kali was given 4 places, right? Meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. brothels. Yeah, the mafia run brothels usually. So we can understand this is how, and therefore, and we can understand also, sometimes you read in the Bhagavad-Gita how the demigods are conquered by the asuras, right? So that, how would you put that into terms of a material country? That would be like if the mafia became so powerful in America, they were controlling the government. So then the asuras have become more powerful than the devatas. You understand how it's working? And the Supreme Lord is there. But when that happens, the devatas, they go to Krishna or Vishnu or the Brahma, and they say, look, this is too much. We can't run our universal affairs, the asuras. So then Brahma goes to, appeals to Vishnu, and then Vishnu incarnates, and therefore it is, what is that? Pavitra Dharma Samstapanathaya. Pavitra Sadhunam Vinashaya Tuduskritam. Dharma Samstapanathaya Sambhava. So I come all the time because the mafia is getting in control of the government, you see. This is the way we can understand it. Just like in America, I don't know, some people will say it's already happened, but they'll say that when the bad people become too powerful, then America will, be like a hell on earth. So then America may appear, come to my country and sort out these evil people. Get the mafia back in their place, kind of thing. So this is how the material world is run in this way. But the opulences and the power, that is all under people. And those people are empowered by Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. So of course Paramatma doesn't exist in the spiritual world, because there everyone is pure and they're not selfishly motivated. So there's no need of Paramatma. So in the spiritual world, the very nature of reality gives enlightenment, the Chit Shakti. Whereas the material world is the Achit Shakti. And so in the material world, everyone is sleeping in the lap of the Achit Shakti. In the spiritual world, everyone, and those that are enlightened by knowledge and Guru's grace in this material world, they are living in the Chit Shakti. And there's that verse, right? Yasya deve parabhakti, yasya deve tataguro, tashyate kahita yata prakashante mahatmana. To that person who has full faith, clear faith, realized faith in Guru and Krishna, everything is automatically revealed. So that's the spiritual platform. You're always in the right understanding. Whereas in the material world, everyone's in the wrong understanding. That the gross creates the subtle. That by mathematics I can analyze this universe and come to conclusions. That we will change the DNA so that we can live 200 years. All sorts of illusory ideas. And this is what happens to the Ravana and Hiranyakashipus. In the modern context, it might be called Satanism or Luciferianism. They want, their religious system is to control the material world, right? Whereas the real religious system is to transfer yourself from illusion to enlightenment, to the transcendental. But their idea is, oh no, we're going to conquer the material world and this will be ours. And therefore, they, like Ravana, I believe, wrote a commentary on the Vedas. I think I mentioned it last week. And but he only the Vedas has those 4 things: dharma, artha, karma, moksha. But he didn't comment on moksha, because the demon doesn't want moksha. He wants to control the material world. So I don't know the English word ravenous. Ravenous person is a greedy, aggressive person. He's ravenous. So maybe that comes from Ravana, I don't know exactly. So in the material world, there are so-called religions that say like that there is no God, man is God. There is no spiritual world. This world is the world. We shouldn't become servants to a transcendental Lord. We should become masters to the material energy. Do you see? So it might be called Luciferianism or Satanism or so on and so forth, but it's not actual religion. So Krishna says, Dharma samstapanathaya. I come to re-establish real religion. Because we see, right, if we look at organized religion, which is Putana, often organized religions, they say that we are the only way. We have the monopoly on God. And they become very anxious to control the material world. Right? Just like in the Catholic Church, they have the symbol of the silver key and the gold key. So the silver key means that the Pope, as representative of God, controls everything in the material world, and he also controls the key to the spiritual world. So they become very power hungry. The whole aspect of the religion isn't to teach love of God, but to expand territory, which is rather like a mafia chieftain, right? He wants to take over his rivals' brothels and gun running. He wants to expand. So that's what's happening when the religions fall onto the material platform. They claim a monopoly of the Supreme Lord, and through that claim they say that we are the only way. Right? So you get these man-made religions, and they are always, we are the chosen people and you are the human animals. We are the people of God and you're the pagans. We're the people of God and you're the unbelievers. Right? So they divide, and that shows that they're on the dualistic platform. In Krishna consciousness we don't say that. We say that everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. That all the opulences of this world, they're not to be gathered by us and enjoyed, but they are two things. You can see the Supreme Lord through that opulence, and you can also use those opulences in the service of Krishna. But the demoniacs say, no, we want the opulences of this world, money and wealth and power, but we don't want any idea of a creator. You can have your dreams of transcendence, they may say, but the real thing is now cash in the bank. Money talks and everybody else walks. They have all sorts of things like this. And as far as morality, just do it, right? They have all sorts, and therefore when there's no God, then homosexual marriage is the same as heterosexual marriage. Women are the same as men. The professor is the same as the student. So they want to destroy all the natural laws, all the natural thing. They want to destroy the DNA, right? Oh, look at that. For thousands of years or millions of years, people have been eating corn, natural corn. No, let's change the DNA. And make everyone, poison everyone, of course, because it doesn't harmonize. So in this they want to control the material world, the opulences, and exploit it for themselves. And all their, Krishna explained, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha. The demoniac don't know what is to be done and what is not to done. And therefore then they make abortion. You can kill children in the womb. Why? There's no transcendental Lord. There's just this world. So if it's inconvenient to be pregnant, just kill it. And now they're making laws that even if the baby is born alive, you can kill it. I've heard. In New York, they passed laws. So this is the demoniac. They want to enjoy this world as through religion or science without any sense of morality. Because when you die, you die.
Can you just ask the question, how do they explain that the baby was born and that you can kill it? How they explain it?
Well, that's what I've heard. I haven't read anything, but I've heard that in New York they passed a law recently. Something about killing a child. If during the abortion process, you'd have to look it up, the child is born alive, then it is put to death. And then in these abortion clinics, they make most of their money from selling the spare parts of the body. You know that if it's born and its liver is quite well developed in the 3rd trimester, that liver has some value.
Stem cells.
Stem cells, yeah, they're doing all sorts of... So in this way, it's incredible. But this is the demoniac idea, because when you don't accept that there's a supreme controller who is enforcing laws, then you're lost to a moral behavior, and you go to hell. You go to hell. They get the severest, and you create hell on earth. And they have mottos like the Freemasons. They say, order out of chaos. You know, you've heard about that? They think that you destroy everything and then you remake it. So therefore, it's called cultural Marxism or cultural revolution. You destroy a country, then you remake it. That's a basic idea of the Marxist. But that's just another form of the Ravana approach to the world. Because these fools, they're madmen, they think that they can make the material world into a perfect place and enjoy it. They think that religion is ruining the material world. The laws about sexual conduct like marriage, that's ruining our sex enjoyment. If we want to have homosex, why not? If we want to have sex with, we won't even go, animals or God knows what, we can do that. And if you get disease, we'll just invent another medicine. And so they believe, but this is the madman's idea. Because why? The material world is always a place of birth, death, old age, and disease. But they believe that nowadays that you can change the DNA perhaps. And then there's cloning. They clone sheep, so they're cloning people also. And they think, I'll clone somebody, and then if my liver dies, I'll get the clone's liver. Never mind what he thinks about it. He's just my clone, and in this way, maybe that clone will kill you to get your liver. Who knows? So, this is what is... There's always... It's not the New World Order. It's the Old World revolution. They're revolting against, and they are revolting against the natural order created by and enforced by the Supreme Lord and the demigods. They're against that. And they're so mad that they think they'll be successful. And therefore you hear these things being discussed. We want to reduce the Earth population to below 1 billion. We want to have areas and this and that. And if you object, we'll kill you, and we'll put a chip in you, and so on and so. So their idea is to get this material world under control. The opulence is for their own enjoyment. Whereas the devotee thinks, I have got some intelligence, let me use it in the service of Krishna. Devotee thinks, I've got some musical ability, let me, by grace of Krishna and karma, let me use that in Krishna's service. Just like Prabhu is a very good Madanga player, can actually hold a beat. So that is the devotional idea. Ah, look, the Supreme Lord. And the thing is, if you look at the sun rising, yes, you can think. Now the atheist will think this is the refraction of light through the atmosphere, which is breaking the different wavelengths and creating blue and green and so on. But is that a sunset? No, the sunset, there's more than that. There's the rasa. When you look at the sunset or you look at the moon at night, you think, how amazing, it's beautiful. Huh? You look at the sunset and you see, oh, the changing of color is so subtle. So that's the mellow. So in the Dashmula of the Vedas, to understand Godhead, it gives three things. One is Hari, Ishvara, that the Supreme Lord is the absolute controller. Second one is Sava Shakti, Mam. All the Shaktis, the energies, belong to Krishna, their emanation. But then the third one is Rasa Vaisaha. You see, the rasa, you see, you're looking at the refraction of light through the atmosphere and you're seeing the change of color. But you're also getting the rasa aspect of Krishna. You're thinking, wow, that's really beautiful. Huh? That's really amazing, the color change. You're looking at the star. You're not just thinking, oh, look at this. It's a chemical formula in the sky. You're not thinking that way. You're thinking, this is the beauty. So that is the rasa aspect. And here it is there of sacrifices, I am japa. Namani chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. That the name of Krishna, also it's explained in the Shastra that Krishna's flute song is represented or is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in this world. That's there in the writing of the Goswamis, that Krishna has appeared as the Maha Mantra, his flute sound. So therefore, we should be careful to evaluate our conditioning. That when we see the world, we should look to the rasa side. And that's very important, because what does it say? Vishya vinivartante neharasya dehina raso varjam raso pyasya param drisva nivartate. We want to get the higher taste, the higher rasa. So that means we have to realize the rasa aspects of reality. And that's what the poets and mystics have always done, have they not? The scientist is working on these mathematical formulas, but the mystics, they're looking at the stars and the sky, and therefore they write in their religious scriptures sometimes, the beauty, the artistry of the Supreme Lord is writ in the sky. It is written in the sky, in the creation. But we should always remember that this is the lower creation. And we're also in the most gross part of the secondary creation. You know, this transcendental Om, why is it the supreme sound combination? Actually, it's often written like this, O-M dot. But actually it is 3 syllables, A-U-M dot. So A is Krishna, U is Radha, M is Durga, or the material energy, and the dot represents the jiva. A-U-M. So the little jiva, he can go to Durga Devi, or he can go to Radha. U. And therefore when you chant Om, it's A-U-M. You can try now. You first go, let's try. Aum. And it's a way of raising the kundalini. Aum. So the mystics do that. So the mystics, the poets, they look at the creation from that angle. But the devotees, they look at the creation, look at the wonder of the Supreme Lord. Huh? So this is what Krishna is doing. He said, all these wonderful things, mystical things, I am the Supreme Lord. I am the source of it all. So there's nobody in history has ever dared to say that. Only Krishna to his friend. You don't. In many man-made religions, they think, well, you can't say the name of God. It's too powerful. And then somebody says, you can never know God because he's too big to be known. Right? They say things like that. Or they say, well, we don't know who God is. Maybe he's got a long beard, but we think he's God. Right? And the Mayavadis say, don't worry about God. Here I am. And give me the donation. Lakshmi Devi left me, so I need some more money. But Krishna is saying here I am. Why? Bhaktosi me shakar eti. Because you're my devotee and you're my friend. I'm revealing myself. So we always reveal our friend to our friends, right? We don't want to, somebody sits on the bus and says, where you come from? What's your name? Mind your own business. But, so you don't like to reveal yourself to somebody that you're not sure of, right? But you reveal yourself to your devotee. This is what Krishna does, you see. So by grace of disciplic succession, Krishna's revealing himself to the world. And there's an interview, we'll finish on this final point. In the garden in Los Angeles, there was a darshan, and all the big professors had come there. Have you seen it, the video? I'm giving all the videos to Panchagoda. Anyway, Prabhupada sits there and he starts. And there's all these big professor of psychology and Oriental study, and they're all big, They've been sitting in their armchairs too long, smoking pipes and drinking brandy, maybe. But Prabhupada says, we are searching for God, and we are saying, here is God. We have his name. We have his address. We have his form. We have his personalities. Why we don't accept? I'm paraphrasing, right? So this is Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham. Everything is being revealed. Krishna directly revealing himself. Yes, Krishna, Supreme Lord is unlimited. But because he's unlimited, he can reveal himself to the limited. He's not limited by our limitations. So this is the meditation of the devotee. We understand the material world. You have the devatas, then you have Bhumandala, and you have the asuras, and then this is called the vinasam, and then you have Sambhutim, and then you have the spiritual world. So it explains 14th verse, Ishopanishad, when you understand the material creation and you are absorbed in the spiritual creation, Krishna's name, form, qualities, then you can transfer to that. So you're the dot above M, but you're going to U. And then because Krishna explains 3 energies, spiritual, material, and Tatastha Shakti. But we have to make that choice. But that's very easy if you read Bhagavad-Gita. And this is what's so nice about this chapter, because Krishna is saying, here I am. I'm controlling all the opulences, all the opulent persons. Okay, thank you very much, your kind attention. Any question?
A comment. The Devatas are living entities just like us, or better than us. They do make mistakes.
Yeah.
We have a weather system in England which is atrocious. So I think the Devatas over England don't know what they're doing.
Well, I wouldn't blame the Devatas. I think Prabhupada once said something, the British weather is so bad because they stole all the jewels from Jagannath's crown. You know that? You know the Konikoor? They stole that. Huh? Koni Noor. They recut it.
Yes, and it's in the Queen's crown.
Yeah, it's in the Queen's crown. And who wants to be the Queen? So, it's not just the Devatas. The Devatas are working under the direction of Paramatma. So, if a country, that's one of the jokes, isn't it? They used to say, the sun never set on the British Empire because it was worldwide. But now they say the sun never rises on the British Empire. But I have seen some sunny days in England. Maybe you should move from London to the Lake District. So, don't blame the Devatas. They are empowered, but they work within the constraints of their dictum from the Supreme Lord. So ultimately, time and karma, these things are ruling the material world. And therefore at the beginning of the Bhagavatam it's explained, you know, that under the rulership of Yudhisthira Maharaj, the weather became adjusted, it only rained at night, and the cows were eating grass, becoming stout. So there's more involved. You see, that kind of attitude might get you into trouble with the Devatas. Put a lightning rod on your roof. Indra might not like that comment. Anyway, question? Other?
Can I just say,
Yes.
here in Uttar Pradesh, the weather is also not that good. I mean, that's so hot, 5-6 months, they're really hot.
Yes.
And winter is so cold, and there is no, that's like we have in Europe. In every house, in every apartment, we have this radiators. Like by government, we have it always. Like we have warms inside that. Yeah. So in India, they don't have it. So and it's really very austere to live here. And
But you can buy a heater.
yeah, you can buy, but summertime it's just like
You can
it's
buy a
an
cooler.
AC, right? Some people they get sick from AC, like me. I can't. I mean, anyway, it's about just that. It's not just in England, but in Uttar Pradesh, it's like.
That would be like I say. You know, the whole world is so sinful at the moment, right? You can't bathe in the rivers, can you? Jamuna has become so polluted. The air is polluted, chemtrails. They're controlling the weather, or trying to, with this harp, firing huge beams of electrostatic energy into the atmosphere, bouncing it to another place. So the demons are wrecking the whole material arrangement. The technology for earth is given by Krishna. Rains come from sacrifice. Huh? You chant Hare Krishna and live purely and protect the cow, you'll have all the food, all the fertilizer, everything. But now, people are flying bananas from the other side of the world instead of eating the berries on the, There's enough food and everything, but the demons don't want to accept the natural arrangement, you see. They want to make their own arrangement. Instead of accepting genetics given by Lord Brahma, they want to change the genetics They want to make a potato that won't go bad. Just give you cancer instead.
All these demoniac things and demoniac mentality and all big technology, and they're coming from the lower planets, like
Well, yes, that's the...
French planets.
Yes. You see, like I say, the technology for Bhumandala is Yagya to Vishnu and living in accordance with the codes, Dharmam tu Shaksha. But we read in Bhagavatam, and I did a lot of research a few years back about the lower planetary systems, and apparently they're really into technology. Satiputta wrote a book, Alien Identities, about these UFOs. So they come up, they break the gravitic field, and they fly here and there. So the Asuric idea, and Mayadanava, he resides on Atala Sutala, Atala Vitala Sutala, the third planetary system below Earth. So that is what the demoniac are into, controlling the material elements. And therefore it's explained there that the material enjoyment in the lower planetary system is higher in many senses than the Swargaloka, because it's unrestrained. You see, there's no morality. Whereas the demigods, they're in the mode of goodness predominantly, so they have a sense of affection and light-heartedness. Whereas as you go down more and more, they get into the demoniac mood of control and predominance and exploitation. Just like animals, when they have sex, they attack each other and growl, and so that kind of enjoyment, gross, tamasic, violent, dark. Whereas the demigods, it's mode of goodness, beauty, artistry, beautiful singing, sweetness, mutual affection. But down there, the lights and genetic manipulation and power, domination, because that's the root. We come to the material world because we don't accept the Supreme Lord's predominance, and we want to be the predominator. So, down below the earth, Atala Vitala Sutala Sutala Tala Tala Mahatala Rasatala Patala, and then Narak. Down there, morality is unforgotten, and they have planets where they treat their rulers as God. He is the enlightened one. He is our leader. But they're all trying to take that position, right? Just like the demons. You're the Godfather now, but I'm going to be the Godfather when I get my chance. The mafia, you see? So, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So the lower planetary systems, and they have longer lifespans. They have very long lifespans, a higher technology. They have cloning down to perfection. They make biological robots. They create jewelry out of chemical processes. But they're always, as you go more into tamagun, you become more anxious. You understand? Like Ravana. Soon his appearance. Ravana, he's a ruler, he's a demon, but he's angry. Tamagun. Huh? So there's no happiness, but there's just a sense of power. And killing, I feel good when I kill. The demoniac idea. Whereas the devatas, they have compassion, empathy. The devotees, they have a good But the demons, oh, look at that. 50 million only died in the Second World War. Should have been more, right? Some people said like that, isn't it? They think like that. 100 million were killed in China when Maoist revolution. Only 100 million? They've got so many, why not get rid of the bloody lot? No, they say things like that, isn't it? Right?
We can think here it's a mixed place between the both.
Yes, the Earth Bhumandala, it gets more ethereal as you go up and more ethereal as you go down. This is the most gross section of the secondary creation, the material creation. So activities performed on the gross plane here, they have a long-lasting effect. Like say you're a billionaire, trillionaire, and you're starting a war for profit. The effect of that karma is billions of years in Narak, and then you're born as a microbe and worm, but they think, oh no, we'll be born again as the same person. They have rationalized in that way. They don't understand what's going on. They've made their own laws of karma, the demoniac, you understand? So, any other questions, points of discussion?
No, I just wanted to say that they create these robots now. I just was observing on the internet, they create these robots and they try to behave with those robots as like this human being.
Yeah, robots, yeah.
That's news.
Well, when you play chess with a person, you enjoy more, do you not? Because there's a personal rapport. But if you play chess with a computer, right, you always win because you can take your moves back. You never lose against a computer unless you fall asleep. But there's no real rasa there. There's nobody to say, very good move. Huh? There's nobody to say, well, you won today, but I'm going to get you tomorrow. Right? There's no rasa. So robots are like that. Now they have those things, right, computers, like you ask it a question or something. Hey, what's the weather in New York? It's hot and sunny. Don't bother me. Well, no, the wife might say, don't bother me. Look it up on the internet. But the machine is that, you know. So there's no rasa with the impersonal material energy, you see. But there's rasa with people. Right? Yeah. So the impersonal monistic is a refusal to accept rasa, ultimately. But that's why it's the third of the Dashamula. Hari, Supreme Controller, all the energies are his, and all the rasa. You know, like you hear a good musician, it moves the heart. You see a sunset, it moves the heart, right? You see good behavior, it moves the heart, right? Yeah, but a machine, you know. Cook me some sabji. Now the wife may say, yes, my darling, I'll make your favorite sabji. But the robot won't say a thing. You're still alone. So we want union with our beloved, and that is the Supreme Lord and the Supreme's devotees. They're all in union of love. But in the material world, they're all in darkness of separation. So these opulences that Krishna describes are a hint, a way to see the opulence in the material world in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And that is yoga. Everything in union with the Supreme. Correct? Is it right? All right, we'll finish at this point. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.